Hello, everybody. It is my pleasure to welcome you here. Yeah, we'll all give a wave. It'll be a nice little wave. Hi to all the people at home. It is my pleasure to welcome you here to ulti.TV's super professional, as always, introduction show for the EUCF 2022. I am Lorcan. I'm very happy to be joined by Paula from Yaka. I'm not going to acknowledge that at all. Anna, Christian, and Nikki from Jinx City, which is Wall City and Jinx. Andrew and Benjamin from Alba.
Hello.
Hello. I feel like I'm introducing a university challenge. And Bex from Reading Ultimate. So, how's everybody? You can all just say collectively good or bad, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Good, yeah, excited.
Marvelous. Well, I'm going to start this off. First of all, we have several champions who will be joining us. We also have a few other teams who will hopefully be joining us later on. But for now, I'd like to talk to Anna, Christian, and Nikki really quickly. If you could just share what your experience winning German nationals, respectively, has been like, and how do you think it sets you up for the EUCF?
It was awesome. I think all of us have never won German championships. It was the first time. So we were very thrilled. Mainz and Betskid were the champions forever. And so it was the first time for some new faces to win German nationals.
Yeah, I would echo the same thing. It was the first time in Wall City's 38-year history that we've won. So we were really thrilled. The only sad part is that the men's and women's divisions are in different locations. So we couldn't celebrate together. But we had a little techno rave as soon as we got back to Berlin, and we're planning another party in October. So yeah, we're thrilled.
Mandatory. That was further down my list of questions, is where is the techno rave and how do I get invited? But we'll come to that. We'll come to that in time. You touched there on Wall City had been around for a long time. First German nationals victory. It does seem you've had something of like a real coming out party over the last few years. I mean, elite invite earlier this season, you beat Clapham. What do you think's been the secret to that big development you guys have been making?
Yeah, I think it started for us as sort of a journey with COVID. I think our team really made a commitment to sort of not give up even during the lockdowns. We had a really cool culture of sort of hallway fitness, where we'd send each other selfies in Slack to motivate each other all the time, and doing all these sort of living room workouts. And I think that motivated us to sort of keep pushing as tournaments opened up again. Yeah, I think we've also had just a couple amazing players for both of our teams move to the city and sort of invigorate the teams with new energy. What do you two think?
Definitely.
And for Anna and Nikki, something I really wanted to ask you about Jinx is, it seems like this season especially, you've had some really massive comeback victories. You had like a huge comeback victory at Nationals where you were like, I think 4-1 down to Heidi's, and you'd lost to them previously. You were 13-12 down to San Francisco Nightlock at the World Ultimate Club Championships as well. What's the key to your mentality and you guys staying so competitive even when you're up against it in the games this season?
I would say that we have also a lot of experience on the team, and that like our exposure, I guess, in the past and presently to like high pressure situations really helps with like keeping that kind of composure in these games. And like, I don't know, I can only like, me personally, I really like playing with pressure, and I think Anna here next to me is also someone who just excels under pressure. And we have quite a few people on the team who work like that, and I think that brings out the best in us in these kind of tough games for the comeback.
That's fair. Turning into diamonds. A lot of people turn into shards of gold. Speaking of high pressure environments, as you say, hi Disconnection. Thanks for joining us. I'll talk to you in a little while. I do want to touch on, just before I move off, speaking into this conversation, you had two really intense games against Yaka, who are the reigning European champions this season. You've taken one apiece each. You guys beat them Jinx beat them in World League in Cincinnati, and Yaka beat them in the final of Tom's tourney. How does that pressure impact your team? It makes you better when you're going up against someone like Yaka?
I think actually we won against Yaka twice, right? Didn't we at Bologna Invite? And then we the other one once. No, we love to play against Yaka. Yaka is an amazing team with really strong women that we know for ages and that we've played against for years and years.
And with.
Yeah, correct. No, so I think playing against them at EUCF will be a hard fight. I think we will meet the earliest in semifinals, if I remember correctly, and that will be, hopefully an amazing game to watch.
It's definitely one of the most anticipated games by our team, and I really hope it's mutual. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Is it mutual, Paula?
Yes. I think so. Speaking for myself, I don't know about the rest of the team, but I think yes.
Oh, I'll come back to me trying to slowly poke that into a fiery rivalry later on. How does being the reigning champions affect your preparation for the EUCF?
For me, sorry.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I definitely think there's some more pressure than there was, for example, last year, even though the goal is the same. So last year our goal was to win EUCF, and we did. And this year our goal is to still win EUCF, but we also recognize that the level is much higher than it was last year. We also think that our team's level is much higher than last year, but the pressure is definitely there. In terms of like defending our title, but also in terms of the level of the other teams. And of course, playing already against them at Worlds and at preparation tournaments, we know how strong the other teams are and that it's not going to be as easy, I think.
Well, that's great news for us as viewers. I'd agree. It does look like it's going to be a very competitive tournament. You said you feel like you guys are going to be even better this year. Could you talk us through, maybe without giving away any tactics, how you, when you're on top, what can you do to keep pushing yourself forward?
I think we try to just remain within our systems. I think our systems are super strong. So even when we get new players, we like to, for them to, they don't have to be the best players in the world. They just need to respect the system and learn the system and play that. And I think that has worked for us for so many years. And it's definitely paying off this year and last year, but it's like a work that has been going on for, I think, over 10 years. So I think maybe consistency or just, getting players involved that share our values on and off the field, I think is super important for us to keep the team the same way that it was, even though we sometimes add some players and we sometimes lose some players, I think.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, maintaining a team philosophy can be really hard in Ultimate, especially across multiple years or even generations. And Yaka have been a force for a long time. Are there any maybe younger players or newer players coming into your squad who you've been really impressed with this season?
Yes, we didn't bring any of them to Worlds, but there are definitely some youngs, as we call them, that have been training with us for a while. I think Aman is going to join us at EUCF. She didn't go to Worlds with us because she was going to Junior Worlds with the French national team, where she got second place, which is pretty impressive. So she is amazing. Like, we are all super impressed by how young she is and already so aggressive on the field, and she can sky basically anyone. She's super good in the air. She lays out like crazy. So she is one to watch, I would say.
Brilliant. Throwing down a little bit of a gauntlet there to Jinx, which we love to see. We just to move on to another team. Thank you very much for the moment, Paula. We've already talked to two of the German champions. Might as well talk to the third group of German champions in Disconnection. How are you guys?
Hi, so just needed a second to unmute ours. Good, thanks. Nice to having us. Thanks for this opportunity.
One question straight away. How do you feel about techno?
Not my music. Not my music.
Me neither. We're not from Berlin. We're from Freiburg here.
Perfect. No, it's just a small curiosity, I feel. So how did it feel to win German nationals?
Great. It's been a long time coming. I mean, the club exists since the late 80s. I think they were good in the past, but they never won nationals. So that was pretty great. And we had the home turf and home audience. So that was quite special as well.
Yeah, it was lots of fun, really, to have the tournament at home and winning with a really great team. It was a great feeling.
So how is that going to impact you now that you're going to Caorle and you're going to be playing not at home anymore, but still the same championship aspirations?
I guess we're definitely boosted by that, and we are really hyped to have the next tournament, maybe even on a higher level. But I guess we have quite good confidence now after such a good German championship to have some great plays on the EUCF, and we're really looking forward to bring that energy to a European level.
Okay. And something that I noticed when I watched you a few times over in Cincinnati when I could get the chance. I saw you in some really great games, including quite a close pre-quarter against Root. That isn't what I want to ask straight away, though. You have one of the more evenly balanced, it seemed, teams. I just want to ask you, how important is team structure to what you do and like spreading the disc around as many players as possible?
That's cool that you noticed that. I think this has been quite of our goal and our mantra the whole season, that we are really very balanced and that we have and I think the Nationals showed that, at least compared to other German teams, it worked quite well, that we don't play that much about star players or something. And I mean, that's really nice to have in games where these our top end players might get matched out by the opposing team, because at least in Germany, the other players were stepping up huge then, and were often much better than the middle end and the lower end of the other team. Yeah, so it's quite nice.
Well, an ideal situation if you can stay kind of evenly placed. That does, sorry to rapidly switch over. I would like to just briefly bring in Andrew and Benjamin from Alba. You guys were the 5th team to ever make a final at UK Nationals in the history of the tournament, for the record, for everybody who isn't super familiar on that history. How did that feel, first of all?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty great step for the team, I think. We said we've been around for 4 years now. We've come 4th, 3rd, and now 2nd. So next year surely got to be the year.
Natural following. The reason that I was reminded, disconnection have left us. Well, it's apt, I suppose. So something I want to ask you about that is, when I was talking to Clapham before the final, they said they kind of recognized some of your bigger players and they were trying to lock them down. So as a young club who is trying to step up, what can you do, or what have you done, I suppose, try and elevate everybody on the line so that they're fully felt? Because you are quite strict with your lines in that final.
Yeah, we didn't mix things up too much. I think, I mean, it's one thing we recognize as well. It's what Clapham done very well against us, is just and a few other teams that have had success against us, just hone in on a few of the key players that we tend to run a lot of things through. So I think in practices, in other games, we just try and run plays for other players, make sure everyone gets involved. Switched a few personnel around here and there who we think we can play bigger roles in different places and that kind of thing.
Yeah, personally, as a younger player on this team, I just get there's a lot of opportunities in training for me to go make plays, and lines in training are way less strict than what you see when you go and play. It's just, when they're star players, it's easy, and it seems logical to rely on those star players. And when they get shut out, then people start to step up. So we're given opportunities in training to step up and go ball out.
Well, it's very fair. I mean, you always want to see people ball out with a frisbee. So, sorry there just for a second. I don't want to keep jumping all over different people. You had something of a nothing to lose mentality in Caorle. Are you going to still try and carry that forward, or be more aware of the occasion?
Yeah, I think it's still sort of a nothing to lose mentality. I think all these teams speaking about being around for years and years and years, we're still only in year 4 as a club. So as much as a few of us have been at European Championships in the past, this is only the second time for Alba. So it's still a case of we're only 2 years into, I guess, this European venture. So you can't really be expecting to go and win in year 2. So it's really just go out there, give it what we've got, and yeah, take it one game at a time.
Benjamin agrees wholeheartedly. Perfect. Sorry, I'm very conscious that the only person here I haven't talked to yet is Bex. How are you, Bex?
I'm good, thank you.
It's lovely to chat to you again. Spoke to UK Nats as well. You guys had an incredible one at Worlds. You're a top 8 ranked team in the world. You played in the first all-European quarterfinal that ever happened at Worlds. Yep. How big's your ego?
Well, we lost, so not that big. Yeah, it was incredible to get to where we were. It was definitely not what we were expecting. We went in pretty much going, let's just see how we can do. So to finish top 8 was amazing.
Some great battles along the way. On a more realistic note, you did say at the time as well, you felt like you really were overachieving. You had a really close run UK Nationals final against Smog that watching it almost felt like if it had gone on a bit longer, you probably, like if it was a game of 17, you probably would have won, or you certainly would. You're in the ascendancy. How do you guys bounce back? You do so at Worlds, maybe a bit of a hangover. You lose UK Nationals. What's been the mood going into the European Championships?
I think it's a little bit dull at the moment, mostly because, as you, and I'm sure everybody here knows, it's been a long season. But I can feel we've had some trainings between Nationals and Euros, and I still feel like there's a lot left to give from the team from this year. And we brought in this sumo mentality for this year, which was shut up and move on. So we've lost at UK Nationals. Okay, fine. We move on. We go to the next thing. And that's kind of the mentality we've tried to have this year. So we're just looking to the next tournament.
Sumo mentality?
Yeah, sumo. Shut up, move on.
Right. Okay. Not like get really fat and wear.
Not get really fat and go play sumo. No, that would be a bit much for all of us.
It's a few years down the line.
A few years.
You did touch on something that is relevant to pretty sure everybody here, certainly all of your clubs, and that's how long a season it's been between the extra warm-up matches and between the tournaments like London Invite, Bologna, as top of course, World's Ultimate Championship campaigns. So starting with you, Bex, you're right here. How do you manage a team over such an elongated season, especially with the added pressure of coming off a rather empty one last year?
It's difficult. I think we've tried to have as many check-ins with the team as we can to try and make sure that we're continuing to have the best atmosphere that we can with the team. So as captains, we've had check-ins with the whole team 3 or 4 times this year and made sure that we're being realistic with our players of actually if they need a break or if they've had a bit of a niggle or they've had a bit of an injury, we're giving them the time to actually go and work on that and make sure that they're back and fully healthy. And that also comes from actually just people going, look, I'm feeling a bit burnt out. I need a week off. And we've kind of just tried to listen to our players and listen to how they're feeling, and seems so far to have worked. But we'll see after next weekend.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing it. That question is relevant to everyone else as well. I suppose we'll start with Jinx City, because you guys having the 2 clubs both going through. Did that help?
Definitely. We practice together, separately, but at the same time. So it definitely helps when you have 2 teams that are really motivated and players who are really motivated to get through such a long season.
Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? Maybe some things your team did to keep spirits high, because it was knackering for me and I wasn't even playing.
Yeah, we just moved away from full weekend-long trainings, which used to be a pretty staple for us as a club, just so that people still had at least a day of their weekend left rather than every single weekend for the entire year being dedicated to Frisbee. So giving people that one day at least when we had practice that they could still do what they wanted just meant we had better buying at every practice. So
it's got to be a tough thing to maintain for such a long season as well as to keep everybody engaged. We've got some questions coming in, so I'll go to one straight away because I like it. And that's Scally Cats. It's pretty specific for the team it's for anyway. Who's the best dancer in Berlin?
I can't speak to Berlin as a whole city, but on Wall City, it's definitely none other than Frank Wang. He's got the moves, he's got the stamina, he's got the vibes. He can't be stopped, and best of all, he's okay with lending you his moves. He's not selfish with them. You can borrow them and use them on the dance floor, and he's willing to share.
I feel a close runner-up is Richie.
Richie, the techno Viking.
Yeah. I would say he gives him a run for his money. Who's the best dancer in Jinx?
You can say yourself if it's yourself.
I would say Noemi. Like, if you've ever seen our Instagram content, we have some blinding lights moves going on, and Noemi's definitely always in the front row doing the best moves.
But this might really be a sort of judge for yourself situation with the sort of techno rave, underground techno rave you've been hinting at all interview. It'll either be Saturday night if we don't make the finals or Sunday if we do. So that's the place to sort of judge for yourself, I'd say.
Sounds like a plan, and we'll certainly put a timestamp in there. We actually had another big one for teams within a club. What part is the wider club played in the success of the EUCF qualified teams? I believe that means when they're referring to teams who belong as either a larger collective club. Oh, we have a moon joining us. So I suppose I could just keep with you guys for a second, because unless I'm speaking out of turn, I know you guys had a lot of help with the funding this season as well from the larger club you're a part of.
Our funding?
No, I was more directed at Jinx, but if you guys are part of a larger club.
What funding?
We had funding as like a little bit of like sponsorship as players for World Games, but not as a Jinx as a team. Yeah.
Fair. Well, is there anybody else? I suppose I'll just jump to Bex first of all, even though that isn't quite exactly it. Because something I'd always love touching on is just how big the Reading Club is.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that help you, I suppose, over the course of a season, but also when it comes to producing an elite level club team?
I think it's a really amazing thing to be a part of. I love the fact that Reading does have that club element to it, and the fact that, you know, we're very lucky that we could have 3 trainings a week, one which is our kind of WUC squad. Then we've got 2 club sessions where we have a lot of WUC players that go and support those. We've then also got an invite session on as well. So that's where a lot of our open players go. But the WUC squad, again, can go there and get more trainings in. So there were times where people could be training 4 times a week with the club, which is just fantastic. And the more that you can play, the better. But also the support that we've had. You know, when we were doing so well at Worlds, it was amazing to get messages from people all within the club knowing that they were watching and supporting us. So that was an amazing thing to be a part of.
Thank you. Okay, we're starting to get a few questions come in now. One of them actually ties into something I did want to ask. All right, we'll just go straight to the one from Rachel then. This is smoothly handled. I'll take over. We're gonna go to Pa first of all. Is it Pa or Pierre Alain? Just Pa?
It's yeah, it's Pierre Alain or PA. You can just
PA. So one of the questions that came up there, which was, have you learned to adapt to European opposition after having played them and scouted them at WUC? Which I think is very relevant for you guys, especially with the bronze medal game. First of all, though, what was it like actually being in that match against the most talked about game probably of Ultimate this year, which was you guys against Seattle?
oof. Feeling. I think what was we got during the game from our friends who were there on the sideline. There were also the guys from Good and who we've beaten the in pre-quarters the day before. The feeling when you get, it was Paul to Arvids and the catch in the end zone, that was just because it's Sockeye, right? It's a legendary team, and I don't know, the feeling is incredible. It's almost like, for us it was like we almost, and of course after that we were like, okay, let's best we can, because if we can beat Sockeye, we can beat any other team.
Yeah, very good point. It's got to give intensity going forward. So then, how do you carry the experience of games such as your bronze medal game against Clapham back into the European season?
Yeah, so it wasn't an easy game. I think we were from the week. I think mentally Clapham was much. We knew that they were tired in the beginning of the game. I mean, they looked like that, at least. I think that this is how you see teams who have experience of so important games, which is something, to be honest, Mooncatcher, we don't have that. We had obviously really that. Part of the adjustments, we look at our game, and I think there are small adjustments to do. I think we put both on D and on O. I think it's just a few minor tweaks that we worked on during the practices that we had since World. I mean, hopefully we can meet them again. And for this, it will be game after game. That's our philosophy. And
fair. I'll ask the same question to you, Paula, as well, because I know Yaka played at Worlds, obviously Jinx, which you mentioned earlier, but you also, I believe, beat Seagulls. So do those matches factor into your preparation for the rest of the season?
As in, did we specifically practice some stuff based off of the teams that we played?
Yeah, people maybe give away a little bit of themselves. They can't help it when you play them.
Yeah. I don't think we trained on it specifically, but we do scout most of our opponents, or we did at Worlds at least, and also maybe not in the beginning stage of EUCF, but last year definitely, like from the bracket play onwards, we were watching as many games as we could. And now that we've played some of these teams and a lot of their games have been streamed, we know that we know which teams are probably going to be our toughest opponents, so we're going to be prepared. But I think mostly by just watching some film and by remembering what kind of things worked. For example, against Seagulls, it took us the entire game to figure out what defense actually worked to stop their offense. And then towards the end, I think we finally found it. So if we play them next time, we can just start off with that and see how that goes instead of figuring out what to do. So I think playing them definitely already helped us. And then we will just watch a lot of footage to make sure that we pick out what are the plays, who are the most important players, blah, blah, blah. So.
Fair. You're not going to share with us that secret now, are you?
Which secret? Which of all the secrets? No.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. So the first question, and this question I want to ask everybody, but we'll start with you, Paula, because you kind of touched, there's a couple of people have your eyes on there. So who do you think will be your biggest challengers at the tournament? And or who do you enjoy playing against the most? You know, you love to be challenged.
I think as a team, we always enjoy playing against Gravity and against Cusp. We always play fun games against Gravity. We have a good team vibe between the two of us. And I think for Cusp, we have a big history with them in terms of playing, but also a little bit with Rasta playing for them 1 year. So it's always super nice to play against them. I don't know based on their Worlds performance, but I do expect them to be stronger for EUCF. So I think definitely that's opponent not to underestimate, even though maybe they didn't perform as well as we would expect from them at Worlds. And then, of course, I think for us, Jinx might probably be the one to look out for, basically, the one to beat. But so, yeah, I think that kind of answers that.
Yeah, fair. And in response? Poor Rachel. It's fine. In response, Nikki, Anna? Who's somebody you're really looking forward to playing and or you consider your biggest challenges this upcoming weekend?
Valkyria, Yaka.
And we never won against Shot this season, so there's
Oh.
a challenge.
That's a good one. Yep. That's our top 3.
Fair enough. Yep, that makes sense. Nice and quick. And what about you, Christian?
Sorry?
What about you in Wall City? Who do you guys see as your major challenges or someone you're looking forward to playing?
Clapham's, of course, a major challenger, assuming that they decide to bring their whole team. Sometimes they just bring the D-line when they get a little overconfident. And, of course, the Moondogs out of Belgium. We have a nice budding rivalry with them. I think they sort of emerged on the scene at the same time. And we knocked them out of the tournament last year, and we hope they don't return the favor this year.
I didn't bring that up. I want that pointed out. But we'll go to PA next. So PA, who do you got earmarked maybe for a revenge game at EUCF or as major challengers you're looking forward to?
Yeah, in our pool it will be Chevron. I think be our toughest opponent to start with. And then depending on the route we're taking, I would say Clapham, because I think it's the only team we haven't beaten yet. And maybe Cusp if we go the other side. So it will Wall City. But I think this year we to do a rematch of last year. I think we wouldn't do the same kind of mistakes. But
Fair enough. Maybe matured, grown past it. Don't blow everything in the first game of the tournament. Moving swiftly along, we'll just go to disconnection and the mixed division in general. So Arn and Zuza, who's you got your eye on heading into this weekend?
For me personally, I'm looking forward to play the British teams again because the whole season when we've met them, it was always a blast. I think we played well against them all the time. I mean, Krut is going to be great. That's going to be nice, but there's so many British teams. I want to play them.
Do you agree with that? You want to play some British teams, Zuza?
Well, I have to say I'm kind of the rookie here in the team, so I haven't been playing much on European level. It was only the EUCR from my side. So I'm kind of looking forward to play all the other games, all the other teams. For me, everything's going to be exciting.
Oh, brilliant. Well, hopefully for us and all our viewers as well. As we try to get bring as much EUCF to everybody. Might as well talk to the British teams now, if we have to. Bex?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to playing Grut. As always, we've got a great rivalry with them, which they've been winning for the last few years. So we'd love to go in and be strong against them. And would love to play Disconnection again. We played them at Windmill. It was a really, really fun game, and I had a really great time. So I'd love to play them again. But yeah, I think we want to see if we can take on those little kids in the Netherlands.
They've grown up a little bit since then, to be honest with you. But absolutely, very understandable if you're coming at the king. So, and finally, talk to Alba really briefly. Benjamin, Andrew.
So I think we're looking forward to. I guess we don't play Wall City this tournament, which will be the first time this year that we've been at a tournament and not played Wall City. in it. So it'll be a shame not to match up again. Finally get a win back. But other than that, I think usual challenges, obviously, if you come up against Clapham, they obviously have our number a bit, so it'll be a big challenge. And then other than that, we feel like we've not really played a lot of the teams at the tournament. We've had a lot of the same faces this year on repeat. So yeah, just getting to play some new teams along the way is probably going to be a challenge, but also will be a fun one as well.
Fair. So I suppose that brings us to our next question quite well. Do you change your playstyle based on European opposition? As the youngest team we have on the stream, and the ones, I mean, a lot of your players would have experience playing against them anyway, at other tournaments and other teams. How does changing from the local domestic scene in the UK to the European Championships affect your playstyle?
I think generally speaking, we play pretty similarly. I think obviously domestically, we just know who we're playing against a bit more. So if we play against Chevy, Clapham, Devon, etc., we know the matchups we know what they're going to do, and it's just a little more, I guess, expected how we're going to play. Whereas when you're playing against some of these teams that we haven't played before, we haven't seen footage of, it's a bit of get yourself into it in the first few points, see what they're doing, and then kind of adapt from there, rather than go in expecting to make any specific changes.
Yeah, defensively, but defensively, we definitely go in with more like variance, play against new teams, because like you gotta throw a spear at the wall and see what sticks and see what works. So definitely more variance when we play against new teams.
Fair. That's actually an interesting thing. So let's just ask Pola really quickly as well, because like you say, Yak have such an established system, and you're trying to bring people into it. Then again, you touched on how kind of coming up against the Seagulls, you had to slowly learn how to play against them. So what's your approach when you're playing a team you're not that familiar with?
I think in Europe it's not been so hard, because at some point you kind of become familiar with most of the teams, and you play them like this year in Bologna, and then at Tom Sturny, I think we played most of the teams that we kind of need to play, if you understand what I mean. So then going into Worlds, I think we just tried to scout as much as we could against the other teams. So like watching some footage or just watching some actual games, and then try to pick out like our defensive matchups and stuff, and then try to already figure out when we can to adjust our defense a bit to the playing style of the team, or for example in Japanese teams, if to just adjust to maybe not that specific team, but like the style of play that is different from European style. And then we kind of like hope that works in the beginning, and if it doesn't, we just keep trying things based on what works or what works a little bit, or if it doesn't work at all, and then we just hope to kind of hit it. But we do try to be prepared if we can, I think.
Because preparation is key for everyone. So that actually brings up something. Zusa, on Disconnection, like you said, you haven't got a huge amount of experience. So what's it like for you when you come on to these kind of high level tournaments? Do you have a specific way you kind of approach it to get more comfortable?
Well, it's a good question. It's I'm super excited, and I'm really looking forward to the new experiences. But with the I can say it's we have a really great team, and with a great support, and as you mentioned, everybody is pretty well. It's been like on a good level and on a high level, and they push me or kind of pull me up on a good level, and it's just a great support I get, and I feel really comfortable with going on a tournament like this with this team, because it's really we have a good connection, I would say, all through the team, and it's really great to play with them.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. I'm just going to move on to a bit more of a fun question now, and that's if you could make up one new rule for Ultimate Frisbee, or if you could destroy one existing rule, what would that rule be? Now, I want to give you a little bit of time to think about this, so you can really pause it, think what kind of rule would help spice things up? Maybe we get rid of the fact that you can't run with the disc. I think it's a silly rule anyway. Maybe we bring physicality into the sport. Maybe we increase it up to my one, which is you make the pitch either slightly bigger and make it, I like that one, slightly bigger and make it 8 players, or slightly smaller and make it 6. It just seems stupid that it's an uneven number to me. So that would be my one. So starting off with, who am I going to throw on the spot who has to come up with one really quickly? PA, I like that smirk. You got a rule you want to remove or add?
Seriously, I think when I started Ultimate 20 years ago, and when the disc, so on the pool, when you could bring the disc towards the middle of the field, I mean, there was a brick mark, but that was more if the disc go but if it was like going out on one of the sidelines, you could just take the disc and then put an attack from there. I think that's a fun rule to bring back. Much more spicy.
Anything to make it more spicy. I feel like the Jinx City crew are laughing about something. You want to clue us in?
We've got a lot of good ones.
Okay.
So the first is that if you suggest playing with a Euro disc, you forfeit the game. We prefer the Discraft Ultra Star. Stall 5 probably.
Maximum stall 5.
Ultimate, it's gotten boring. The offense, they score every time. 10 is way too long. It's just it's because of how many fingers and toes we have, which seems like a silly reason. Nikki,
And Kristen had another good one. If you throw a turnover, you're out of the game.
Survivors Edition.
Also, if you throw a hospital pass and your receiver calls foul and it's contested, it comes back, but you must throw the same throw. None of this, you get to re-decide your fate and throw a nice dump pass. You got to wing that huck. Everybody knows it's coming. Live with your decision.
Actually, that's known as Glastonbury rules at a tournament that they play here in the UK, where that's what you have to do. If somebody calls a foul on a reception of a long shot, you just have to do the same throw again. And I agree. There was a lot of logic being spoken there.
Thanks.
You guys have anything else to add?
Sorry?
Anything else to add? Those are your 3 rules?
We would also like to add a kind of rule where you, well, we're getting visitors, sorry. We would like to add a rule where you kind of get to throw another person in the air to catch something, like in rugby. We find that pretty cool.
These are some very exciting rules.
Yeah, or maybe throw a person sideways, I don't know, but you know.
The point is you can assist people in moving.
Yes, exactly.
It'd be great. Gymnastics. We get people to do cheerleading. It'd be fantastic. How about the boys over in Scotland? Andrew, Benjamin, any rules you'd want to add?
Similar to the hospital pass rule, or adding on to the hospital pass rule, if you do throw a hospital pass, say if there's more than 4 people underneath the disc, the foul rule no longer exists. I think everyone has been fouled at that point. As soon as there's more than 4 people underneath the disc, everyone has been fouled, so the foul rule doesn't exist anymore.
I love that. I agree with that. I also, but then here's the tidbit. Does that mean if you're like the 5th arriving defender, yeah, well, I might as well just openly foul everyone because it won't matter.
Yeah.
Yes. It'll make the sport better.
Throw better throws.
Fair.
I think the travel rule should be changed. Like, you should be allowed to drag your foot when throwing hucks because everyone does it anyways. So it has to be less than 2 meters. So if you have a foot drag, you can clearly see on the grass how long you dragged your foot for, and you put out measuring tape and see if it's less than 2 meters, not travel.
This is pretty cool. I like some of these. Disconnection. Do you have any you want to add? Or Bex or Paula, just to jump in. It does sound like real one.
Make the games longer again. but with less time in between points. So games used to be 17. I don't understand why they took it down to 15. I think it should go back. But then to make them like not so long or more fun to watch, the time between points could be shorter, especially now that teams are bringing such big rosters and have like specific lines and stuff. You don't need a minute between games, between points, maybe. I disagree with the travel thing. I think people should learn not to travel.
I mean,
Same here. Same here. Just learn to throw a hug without fun.
Yes, and then something about the pick rule needs to change. I don't know exactly what. Either just completely remove it, but I don't know if I'm super for that option. But definitely something needs to happen that it's just more clear and not people just asking you questions. Was it before or after the throw? And then someone else shouting, "That's not relevant," and then blah 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 blah. Something needs to change there. But where's Liam? He's on one of the committees, right? He can put in a good word or something. But yeah.
If you lay someone out with a pick, then like if they fall to the ground because of the pick, then it's not a foul. You just won. Any more rules? I have 2 more questions, and then we'll probably leave it there. So, any more rules anybody wants to add? They can be sincere. Yeah, that's Benji there cheering for glass rules. Benji actually gives us our next question, which is just, Paolo, what's the name of your cat?
His name is Jiwa because he's a gangster because he came from the streets.
Just like you. That makes sense.
Yes. He's an asshole, but also very nice, which is every cat, I guess. So.
I like cats like that. Like roommates, like kind of dickish roommates, but they every now and again they need something, like salt. So I got one last question. Really grateful for you joining us and everybody who joined us in the audience as well. It's been wonderful to have you with us as we're getting ready for the UCF. Now, I'm going to ask each person this, or team, I suppose, if Alba want to answer together. And it's, who do you think is going to win the other 2 divisions? Not the division you're playing in, because obviously you pick yourselves. And before we get into that, don't give out those personal details. So I'll give you a second to think about that. Who do you think is going to win mixed? Who do you think is going to win women's? Who do you think is going to win open? Pretty simple concept. Who's going to win the other divisions? And before we get into that, I'm going to clarify that I actually found this hat on the streets, much like your cat, Paula. And much like your cat, it makes me feel like a gangster. So I'm never going to give it back to the person who owned it, who, you know, at this point could be any random homeless shell of a person existing somewhere on the streets of Europe. So starting off with Benjamin. Who do you think is going to win women's, and who do you think is going to win mixed?
Pretty new to the scene, so I'm quickly reading up the polls and just gonna pick a random one. So,
Oh, look,
you know, gold is gonna win mixed because, you know, the street in the name. So gold.
Qui gagne en mixte?
And women's, just going through the names. You know, synthesizers or synthesis for the synthesizers in techno. So synthesis and gold. I'll put my money on it.
Fair. We will be organizing, but we won't be organizing betting at the end. So we'll see you all there. Andrew, you agree with those calls?
Yeah, I think Ben's done his research. I think that's spot on.
That's team unity for you. Brilliant. Paula?
For mixed, I do think Grut is going to win, even though I wish I could pick another team. For the open teams, I am just looking up quickly who is there, but I'm going to go for Mooncatchers, I think, to take a little revenge on Clapham in the final.
Oh, look at that. And that's not because there's more Mooncatchers joining the show with every passing second. Speaking of Mooncatchers, how are you?
Good.
So who do you think is going to win women's? Win mixed?
We said probably Yaka. Mixed Grut.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go to the mixed division for some answers now. Bex, who do you think is going to win Open? Who do you think is going to win Women's?
I think I'm going to stick with my countrymen and say Clapham are going to win Open. And then for Women's, I don't know the Women's division that well, but I'm going to go with Yaka.
Fair. And Disconnection? You guys also frantically looking them up?
Yeah. I think for women's, it's going to be Berlin. Got to be. They seem good.
For Open, it's definitely Betskid.
Our coach plays there.
Yeah.
Sandra, I like this unity. I like what's coming across here. It's great stuff. So Jinx City, I guess you should only give mixed. But go on. Yeah. Start off with Jinx.
Sorry. Well, we have to stick with our boys. Well, City's gonna win.
Yep.
And then in mixed?
Yeah, I think we think Grut is gonna win. Oh wait, actually, I think Jogo Bonito is probably gonna win.
Juggernaut.
Fair enough. What about yourself?
So in the mixed division, I would have to give it to Reading, not because I've really been following this year, but the ulti.TV fans must know what's good, you know. And if they're voting for Reading, it must be the team to watch. I believe in the people.
That's a mistake.
And the women's division will definitely be Jinx. I believe that not just as one of the 11 boyfriends on Wall City, but also as a believer in Jinx's strength. I would put money on that.
Of course, and in no way would that bet have been coerced. I have one question. Seeing as there's just more and more people joining PA, and the urge to call you PA is almost overpowering. PA by the second. We actually have a question here from Steph Pazzo. You guys want to answer that? I'm not saying that.
Sorry, can you just read it?
Yes, I will say it out loud. How can you win without any Chicago Machine players to lead your team?
We don't need them. We lost against Clapper, so now we just without them we're better, I think. How will you do? How will you do? Without
Jerry
game.
We won't start rivalry off with Steph in the comments section. And it's no good who, I think, we won't get into it now. Guys, thank you so much for everybody joining us. Do you have any last special messages you want to send out to everybody at home? Yell them all at once.
Shout out to Tamzal Beltinch. He had a birthday yesterday, so happy you in Caorle. And all the Latvians. Peace.
That was it.
And my YouTube channel.
Is that Didzy's in a bow tie?
Yeah.
It was. Fair. All right, daughters, lock up your mothers. Anybody else with a special message? Maybe in their hiding?
I'd like to apologize formally to Eurodisc. I believe in the European project. I believe in recycled plastic. Yeah, those comments reflect my own views only and not those of Wall City or Jinx.
Very fair. Yeah, that did almost cost us the money. Anybody else? Special messages? Nope, you're all good? I was going to leave there. There was one last question I wanted to ask, and I forgot to ask it until now, and then Rachel reminded me. But it is going to Christian. Wall City had probably the most sought-after jerseys at Worlds. Who designed your jersey?
I'm the designer of the Wall City jerseys, with great input from my creative director, Phil Kay, who couldn't be here today because he had the sniffles. But yeah, we are looking to trade at the UCF. The going rate is 2 for 1. But we like sun hoodies, we like embroidered hats, yeah, we're out there. We're ready to make some trades.
All right. Would you be interested in trading for this hat?
I can't see it clearly enough here.
We'll take that as a maybe for now. Thank you very much to everybody for joining us. Before we start to lose complete control of this stream, we will be bringing you all the action live from EUCF, all 4 days, all on YouTube, because that's what we do, ulti.TV, starting on Thursday. It's going to be a great long weekend, a great time in Italy, and it's going to be some great Ultimate played. So thank you very much to everybody for joining us. Thank you to all the fans for joining us at home. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Great, thanks. Bye bye.